Okay, I'd like to call the September 8th meeting to order, and we will start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That sounded like 100%, thank you.
All right, with the, we'll look for the approval of minutes for August 11th.
I reviewed them, found them to be accurate, so I move that we approve the minutes from August 11th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. We are going to table a few items tonight because the applicant representative is going to be a little late. So the first one is 242, no DP number, 1 and 28 Royalcrest Drive. We're going to table that for now. And the next one,
Mr. Chairman, we also have the same representative is requesting 242-1823, which is 292 Candlestick, 920 Johnson Street, and 242-1773 60 Leanne Drive. He has all those, and he's requesting we table till the end of the meeting because he's at another meeting in another jurisdiction. So I move that we grant the request and table those items till the end of the meeting.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. First one is 242-1822, 45 Couture Street, request to continue to September 22nd.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
So I'll just need you guys to, I need to canvass you for a site visit, that's all. But I'll do that by email, so we can keep.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Next one is 242-1810, Osgood Pond Dam.
Alrighty, so since the last meeting, have straightened out a butter notification for the stone building at GSD Associates. The applicant has responded to our third-party peer reviews, first round of comments, generally in agreement with them. I know the commission said that they had their own questions at the last meeting. Maybe now's the time to share that with the applicant. Otherwise, the other thing was I didn't know if the commission wanted your own third-party peer review to attend a meeting. We'd have to change the scope of the contract for that. So that's all I've got. And we have representatives, Nick Pauling this evening with us.
Good evening.
You're a representative of who?
I work for Goldsmith Preston Ringwall, or GPR, I think.
Okay, thank you. Joe, you have any questions?
No, I didn't have any specific questions. I wanted a chance just to review the plan in a little more detail, and I found that the review comments were accurate enough and thorough enough. I'm all set.
All right, thank you. Jack?
Yeah, they gave a general approach last meeting and seemed to make sense. I think we're right at the point where we need third-party review. So I'm good with the progress. I know we're not going to resolve this tonight, though.
No. Al?
So is it my understanding that the applicant, on behalf of the applicant, sir, you object to third-party review?
No, sir.
You don't object?
It's already been done.
Go be done.
When Amy was asking if we want the third-party reviewer to come to a meeting, but I don't think it's necessary.
Okay, I
But I just wanna make
misunderstood
sure.
the question. No,
Yeah, I just want to make sure you didn't want him present.
I would say not necessary right
Okay,
now.
all right.
Thank you, sorry for that.
No, no worries.
No, I'm all set with, I have no questions. I'm in harmony with the third-party review, and you're accepting his remarks on what the plan is to go from zero, actually, we're going from 0 to phase 2, I believe.
No, just zero.
0, I'm sorry,
Just
0
zero.
to phase
Yeah,
2.
the third-party review outlined that our approach was consistent with the regulations and offered or suggested 2 conditions, or which we're fine with as conditions of the approval of the order of conditions.
Thank you.
Yep.
No questions?
Okay, so we need, how much time do we need to,
Our next meeting is the 22nd, which is 2
Okay,
weeks away.
does that work for you?
So at this point, having a third-party review in hand, we're in agreement with their conditions. We don't know of any outstanding questions from the commission.
Unless there's outstanding questions from public.
So the only thing that was hanging at the last meeting, but I understand it's been resolved, is that there was a butter who wasn't,
Yes.
there was a question whether it wasn't properly noted, but they have been now.
Yes.
And they've had an opportunity to chime in directly with the engineer. So I guess
So-
what we really want to hear is if that abutter's in the meeting.
And
wants to add
the
anything.
abutter, and somebody is there.
Well, has the abutter been in contact with you?
Yes, but not with specific questions. The specific questions went to you, Nick.
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct. So
Well, my understanding is you're requesting we close an issue, correct?
my request is that last meeting, the commission said they had questions, and I said I'd love to hear them. Then I said
Okay.
I would hear them. So we're more than willing to answer any questions if there are outstanding. To comment on Mr. Lynch's comment, we did not notify anybody by certified mail. We reached out to them directly. As Mr. Lynch mentioned the last, there's a procedural, I'm going to call it a gray area, that is above my pay grade as far as the regulations say to do something, we feel we did it, and then admitting or trying to do it freely is a whole other conversation. So, we'd love to move the application forward in the absence of any outstanding questions. This is needed so that we can go and present the application to the Office of Dam Safety for the work.
Okay,
I got it.
because the report from the third-party review seems, the questions that we were raising, the only thing was the abutter question, and that's been addressed. And the abutter's here to ask questions, so if you're all set, commission's all set, so we'll just ask for the abutter, please come forward. He said he was all set.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you, though.
You could stand up at the podium if you'd like.
The podium, and if you would just be kind enough to, I know you told us who you were last time, but just
Okay.
your name and address and ask away.
My name is Linda Vandevoort, and we occupy 146 Main Street.
Thank you.
Gregory Smith, Linda's husband. We operate the business there.
So one of the questions that we did have is at the last meeting, I had the opportunity to review the video again, just to make sure I was hearing things correctly. And I remember that you had come to a conclusion that you would ask the applicant to re-notify the abutters. And so I had followed up with Amy, and she did say that she had suggested that to the engineer. But we also noticed that the incorrect abutters list that was originally filed and the new abutters list that was correct have 7 other abutters on there that weren't notified at all. The only reason we know about it is because we happened upon the meeting, viewing it online. So we've been kind of on top of it for ourselves. But there's 7 other abutters that haven't been formally notified. And we as abutters, we just want to make sure that we preserve our rights of appeal, et cetera. And our understanding at the last meeting was that your vote was to ask the applicant to resubmit to the abutters.
Was that done, Amy?
They contacted directly the people who were aggrieved.
The 7?
Which is
But
this-
what about the
which
7?
is-
Was there
no,
7 missing from the first time?
I didn't catch that, so that's.
So
but-
that new 7 group is a result of the revised list?
Yeah, I just happened to be reviewing it just to compare, and I noticed that there were more names on it. And I really just happened to notice that, in the last day, so.
Amy, I don't want to get tripped up on minutia, but I think procedure is very, very clear of what has to be done and in what order. So my understanding is the applicant, and any applicant, has to go to the assessor's office and get a certified abutters list. Which they did.
But then we'll-
And they notify, and the applicant's representative notified everybody on that list. However, on that list, it was flawed. The assessor omitted what we thought to be one name, but it perhaps omitted other names. So at the last meeting, that was raised, and as a courtesy, since this abutter is right on the work area, we not so much obligated, but respectfully asked them to notify, reach out to this abutter, which they've done. They didn't have to do that. They had already
That's
met
right.
the threshold of the regulations on the state law and our local bylaw. So having done that, the other 7 missed by the assessor's office is to me a non-issue.
Right.
It's a non-issue. They got a certified abutters list by law from the certified
Yes.
party, the assessor.
Yep.
It's done.
Okay.
And the fact that Mr. Smith and his wife, their business got notified was a courtesy that we extended and the applicant agreed to do.
Yep.
So I think they've more than satisfied the requirement,
So-
in my
so,
opinion.
I agree.
If I can
I
just
agree.
comment, Joe, it's not about courtesy, it's about, one, protecting our rights as an abutter. I think as you see the plans, you'll see that we have, all this work is going around 360 degrees around our building. So to call us, to say to us that we're doing a courtesy and something to fair it's actually our rights as an abutter that we want to make sure that we're protecting.
No,
So
and I think
make
it's
sure
fine.
that the notification that we are considered an abutter and we have rights of appeal.
So you always have rights to an appeal,
Well-
whether you were notified or not, as an abutter, you always have rights to appeal. However, the obligation of the applicant is only to get a certified abutters list. They got that, they notified, to my knowledge, everybody on that list. It was through some additional information that we realized that you weren't notified. And that was truly a courtesy. We did not have any authority to tell them, you must notify that abutter. We didn't have to. We chose to because we knew work was immediately adjacent to your building. And that was an important thing that we wanted to give you that courtesy and that extended right, and nothing more. But the other 7 that came out of this new list is superfluous. There's no end. Real estate transactions happen all the time. When that abundance list when that transaction occurs and the list gets updated, it's a moving document. So you can never keep up on a larger project.
I guess my question to that would be is the reason the abutters list was flawed was that it's my understanding that about a year and a half ago, the software was updated. And working with Mr. Mitchell, he realized that some of the flaws in the system left out certain abutters on the list. So it was an inaccurate list that was given to the applicant, and it was caught within,
Once the assessor stamps it, certifies it, and signs it,
okay.
it's the certified list.
So I think,
But the fact
you
that
know,
they're here tells me.
That's right.
Tells me that the proper notice was absolutely extended.
well, they're
And
in the
others-
know, and they wouldn't have standing to appeal on the basis of not being notified. So you are in the know,
Okay,
so let's move forward with that.
Yeah.
okay.
And not, you don't have to carry other people's water, okay?
Okay.
All right?
I think that nobody here is going to make a determination of whether or not they are abutters under a statute or the law. I mean, if they bring an appeal and somebody defends, the opposition to that is they don't have a right to appeal because they're not abutters, that issue will be decided at that point in time. It's got nothing to do with us. We don't know the answers to these questions. We can speculate, but every rule has exceptions,
The only
so.
fact we have is certified buzzer list was obtained. That's the only fact we have.
Right.
And that the folks on that list weren't notified.
Right. Okay, so let's move on. You have any questions on the application?
Yeah, I guess one is, because we weren't made aware, we didn't have any input originally into any of the discussions that went on beforehand. So our concerns are protecting the building and the occupants in the building during this work. And we've met with the engineer today and expressed our concerns, but generally, I'll just run through a quick list of what they are. And, we're concerned about the trees being removed. We're not opposed to the project per se, but how it's being done around our building is quite significant. It's, the trees, there's already been trees that have fallen over. And one time when we were there, when it fell over, the whole building rattled. And so we want to make sure that these trees aren't just cut and dropped in place. And if there's a crane involved, that location of where this is should be written and be specified in the documents. And then where it's located, we also have parking and we have people that access the property from the top of the dam. So closing that off and, you know, time frame for when this work is gonna get done is gonna impact us being able to walk by. If there's trees being craned overhead, it's an unsafe condition for the people in our building. So we're concerned about that, and, you know, he mentioned that it's means and methods, but means and methods can be specified in a document for a bid package, that certain criteria need to maintain. So one of our concerns is access to the building during this, that it's safe, and that no trees are dropped and felled in place so that it vibrates the building. The building has a stone foundation. There's not a lot of mortar in that. In the past, there's been some work that's gone on that has caused settling in the building. So, so the setup, the location of it, I think is important. And then when it's being done, is it gonna be done over a weekend when there's nobody in the building? Or if it's gonna be done during occupied hours, that, you know, we need to be able to maintain our building and our operation there. I mentioned about the foundation, and the trees in the past. So, and then also just, you know, surveying of, you know, the building, you know, we went through the documents and there's absolutely nothing talking about the building itself with the scope of work of what's going on in these documents, in the engineering documents. So, you know, we're just concerned for the safety of our employees and our staff, and maintaining access to this during construction.
So may I just comment quickly? So parking, hours of operation, safety is all not jurisdictional to the commission's wetland purview, and that's really on the contractor. I don't think we are in the business of conditioning that type of work. And I think that understanding conditions once the trees are cut would answer their questions for their foundation and things like that. That's the next investigation that ODS requires. So some issues are germane and some aren't, so we shouldn't get tripped up on non-wetland concerns.
You've addressed your concerns to the contractor, correct?
There is no contractor as far as I know.
No, not yet.
To the engineer.
Well, to the engineering firm?
Yeah.
You're aware of their concerns?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And are you doing anything to respond to that?
We had a conversation earlier today. They're absolutely correct that unfortunately that's a means and a methods. There's many different ways to take down the trees. Ideally, due to the slopes and lack of disturbance, a crane would be the best, but that would preclude some of the contractors potentially. Different equipment provides different ability, and that's not going to be available until a contractor is actually selected. You know, the hours of operation, the negotiations, the notifications of blocking off the access to the dam during certain hours and things like that is all part of any construction process. So, you know, some contractors may have a large boom truck that may be able to segmentally take down trees right from the crest of the dam. Some people may want to try to approach the town to use the town's parking lot with a crane if the boom is long enough. Certainly, if they chose to fell the trees on the slope, I think that would be a mistake. I would highly recommend against it, just due to the lack of the disturbance that could happen to the slope and to the adjacent wetlands. But as Mrs. Maxer stated, you know, we're looking for a jurisdictional area of disturbance relative to the wetlands, so that we can continue in the permitting process with the Office of Dam Safety.
Yeah, Nick, you guys, your firm has done a lot of, a significant number of dam projects. And dam,
We have,
yeah, a
yes.
significant number. And historically, they could be a quagmire of property rights shared by individuals or groups. And this is not unique to that. I think some sort of notation on the plan at a very minimum of coordinating schedules and minimizing impacts to the satisfaction of the abutter is an important note. I think that's fair game, without getting into means and methods.
Absolutely. I can completely agree with that. You know, coordination and open communication by a contractor with the regulatory boards, the jurisdictional permit granting authorities, as well as the abutters, is only going to aid in the actual construction project. A contractor going in, trying to keep his mouth shut and not talk to anybody is just going to prolong the process, and that's not in anybody's interest. So, you know, providing a more detailed sequence, we're open to, you know, meeting. The question is the contractor selected, that could be coming in and presenting that to the commission themselves prior to construction. That could be a pre-construction meeting condition in the order of conditions outlining that contact information. That's very, you know, that's very typical, similar to the inspection or the review of the erosion control limits. You know, you're absolutely right. Dams are always unique. This, if the commission doesn't know, was unknown who owned it for decades until recently. The Office of Dam Safety gave a letter to the condo association saying, congratulations, you have a dam in poor condition, fix it. So, you know, there's a number of things that are going to come into clearer focus as we move towards construction. And unfortunately, those answers aren't in clear focus right now to provide to you tonight.
All right, so we need to continue. Right?
Or are we ready to close?
Are you ready to close?
I don't think he's looking for us to close.
I
All
think
right.
we're ready to close.
I don't think we need to continue.
And I think we could probably make, you know, a condition based upon, you know, cooperation with the neighbors, not to their necessarily satisfaction, but something in there, and that the pre-construction meeting will involve
Reconstruction
items
and
such as
phasing
that.
is something that's within our jurisdiction.
So again, I'm sorry to interrupt the discussion. We're only asking for approval of what we've deemed as Phase 0 of the application. Phase 1, 2, and 3 are phases where further evaluation to the dam is going to be done to bring into focus what needs to happen, if anything.
Phase 0 does include the tree removal.
Phase 0 is the tree removal,
Yeah,
and
and
only the
vegetation.
tree removal and leaving of the stumps. It's needed to be so we have a clearer look at the condition of the dam, so we can evaluate and define Phase 1, 2, and 3.
And that's the balance, I think, we as a stable can all strike, is, you know, it's not a matter of bureaucracy and letting Office of Dam Safety determine who might own it and issue an order.
Right.
What we really have is an unsafe dam, and everybody down gradient, downstream of that theoretically is in peril. It's a high hazard dam.
Yes.
And it's to everybody's best interest to do that in a very methodical way to maintain safety. And it's the federal regulations that, how that's done. And really, all we're looking is the wetlands. The ironic thing here is the fourth or fifth general condition in our order of conditions is typically, we don't extend any rights beyond this permit itself.
Yeah,
So
to
we're
say
not,
that-
we're not saying you have a right to go on his property, you don't have
Oh,
a right to,
absolutely.
we're not saying any of that.
Yeah, and just to say it a different way,
But if he's saying we have rights,
so
you guys are gonna have to work that out when the time arises, otherwise pre-construction's not gonna happen.
Correct, and just to say it another way, unfortunately, you'll see my face again talking about this dam. Again, unfortunately. Well, hopefully you'll see the whole thing at that time, but, you know, this is just the first step in a long process.
Okay, so we need a motion.
Move that we close.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. So you'll have to talk with the contractor what your concerns are, and then he can work it in.
So that's gonna be, what are the conditions that we're?
We're gonna issue an order of conditions.
Right, and that's
We
one,
will issue one.
right, I know you'll issue them, but I'm saying that we would be involved in that meeting,
In what meeting?
in a meeting with the contractor, a pre-construction meeting. So, you know, we're having this conversation about safety and wetlands, right?
All we're gonna, we have a craft new order of conditions, right? Exactly. Think about it. But the reality is, that the tone that I'm gonna look for on it would be that we always require pre-construction condition, and at the pre-construction condition, we will ask for a status report with regards to, you know, when will the work start and is the neighbor on board? We're not gonna ask for documentation, we're not gonna, you know, that's, to me, is a legal right between the condo association, the contractor, and anybody who feels they have rights. We're not gonna get involved in it. All we're gonna do in that construction meeting is ask for a report. That's the way I see it happening, nothing more.
Thank
Thank you. I'm sorry if I didn't understand the notification thing. I'm just new at this, so accept my apologies, Amy.
It's all good.
So Nick, what I do is draft, and we'll vote on the decision on the 22nd.
Is that something
You don't necessarily have to be here, it's just so you know
via email?
what the time, yes.
Very good.
Yep,
Thank you very much.
thanks.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too.
Is 242-1814, 3 Great Pond Road.
Commission was ready to close at the last hearing, but it was more than 21 days, so we can close. I have a draft decision ready for you.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. 242-1816, 325 Johnson Street, request to continue till 9/22.
Yes.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 242-1818, Great Pond Road, roadway stabilization.
Same thing, commission was ready to close. We have a draft decision, so we can close and issue.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 242-1787, 135 North Ramp Road, request to continue till September 22nd.
So moved.
Just brief discussion on that. I saw some
Discussion.
email on that. Didn't know if I followed also. They are going to start the boring?
Borings, the end of the month.
At the end of the month.
Yeah, towards the end of the month.
Okay.
Yep. GEI is in the loop, so.
Good.
We're on track.
We're moving forward. All right, so we have motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. The 242-1823 is tabled.
Table.
The next one is 242-1820, 227 Berry Street.
Jen says 227, the document says. Has 237.
37, yeah.
I'm going to note that so 227 is properly noticed, it's just Scribner's error in the letter?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Hello, I'm Bob Prokop from Wetland Consulting Services. That was my typo, that I put 237 on the, so that is a mistake. The applicants, John and Celia Burnett, are here also, along with their architect.
Yes, my name's Chrisula Varadakis. I am the architectural designer for this project. I also represent the design build firm that would do the construction.
Project is, in my opinion, fairly simple. They have a residence that was built in around 1965. There's a porch there they want to tear down and put up a new porch. They're hoping to add 3 feet to the existing porch, the new porch, rather. All work would occur in an area that currently exists as lawn. We are proposing some mitigation for the extra 3 feet of porch by providing eight wetland shrubs, blueberries, and meadowsweet that would be planted in an area that currently exists as lawn. Erosion control would surround the entire work area. There's a stockpile area also within the erosion control area. Since the house was built in 1965, there were no wetland regulations back then. But, unfortunately, 2/3 of the property is surrounded by wetlands, which puts all of the work within the within the buffer zone. A little bit in the 25-foot, but mostly in the 50-foot buffer zone. So, but basically, we're talking about an existing structure that's been there well before the Wetlands Protection Act was even enacted. So, and no vegetation would be cleared, and all the work would occur in an area that currently exists as lawn. And that's my story.
I also have a few things to note. So this existing screen porch is unsafe. It has to go. It was not built properly. Currently, there's 160 square feet of impervious area that exist. Our proposed screen porch is 10 feet out by 12 feet wide. They were only proposing 120 square feet of impervious area. So we're actually lessening the impervious area by 40 square feet. The other portion of the, I don't know if you have a plan of the actual deck itself. I have one here if you need to see it. So all the area that would be added, so we're going from 40 square feet less impervious area, and then the open deck area only extends 6.5 feet out by 10 foot 8 wide. So as you see here, we're actually lessening the impervious area for the porch. These footings, the footings that we use are all helical footings, so there will be no excavation. And mostly all the area surrounding the construction is lawn area.
Joe, any questions? I hear this.
Yeah, I got a couple questions, a couple comments. You got an old building on a small, relatively small site that certainly is a pre-existing non-conforming conformance to our wetlands bylaw. It's rare, if ever, that we've ever granted a waiver. We allow porches to be rebuilt in kind. In fact, in many instances, if they're a certain distance away, we can even do that through a small projects permit. But when you've got a non-conforming lot, we allow the porches to be replaced in the exact same footprint. I can say it's rare that we've considered letting anything new get closer to a wetland, regardless of the age of the house. That's the statement. The question is, you know, as old as the house is and as old as the porch might be, that the hot tubs in itself is a pretty recent violation. And I think in light of the overall picture, I think I'm even less inclined to consider a waiver. And, you know, that's just my take on it. As the first guy out of the gate, I apologize for being so negative, but let's see what else comes out of it.
Thank you, Joe. Jack?
Yeah, what is the intent for the hot tub?
The hot tub, as far as I know, is going to basically stay in the same location.
Remain in place.
It's been there for roughly 20 years.
Okay, so, just so I understand, the screened-in part of the porch is going to be narrower than it is now? Okay, and that's the reduction in impervious area?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's currently 7 feet deep, and it extends the length of the house.
Yep, okay. And the roof runoff from that, does that discharge just to the lawn, or does it go to an infiltrator, or what does it do?
It's a shed roof construction, so it would come right out front.
I see a downspout on one side,
Yeah,
so it just discharges and spreads out over the lawn?
yes.
Okay. To echo Joe's comments, we, especially in the no disturb zone, we rarely grant a waiver to encroach further into the no disturb zone.
And the only thing is with that is if we keep the existing porch, it'll be more impervious area.
Right. You're not gonna move the hot tub at all, yet you're expanding the screen part of it toward the rear of the house, or away from the rear of the house. So it looks like there's hardly any room to do that. Aren't you gonna run into the hot tub?
No, there's a few feet there.
You're just gonna take up that few feet? I see, okay. No more questions.
It is unlikely that I'm going to vote for an expansion. I have no problem with the in-kind replacement and repair, but I don't see me voting for an expansion. Sorry.
Would it help if, again, the area, there's a backyard area of lawn. Part of the lawn extends into a wetland. It's been maintained as lawn for forever, as far as I know. We could easily eliminate more lawn by planting it with wetland trees and shrubs, if that helps at all. We're only proposing 8 at this time. We could amend that to include more, which would eliminate the lawn, well, more lawn, and you'd get a more vegetated wetland, if that makes any.
I think if you're going to come back with a mitigation plan that exceeds the one you've proposed, you should do that. I'm not going to help, I'm not going to tell you what might happen. But if you want to revise your mitigation plan and revise your waiver request, you certainly are free to do that. I just, from where I sit, I can't help you do it.
Well, but if we do propose more plantings, is that going to change your opinion, or?
Same answer I just gave you. If you want to revise your mitigation plan, revise it, submit it, and we can consider it when it's in front of us, if that's what you want to do.
All right, do you have any suggestions as to, like, a percentage or anything that you'd like to see?
I will not suggest anything. I apologize, but I just won't.
Sounds like you're in a deposition over there.
We're fact-
Asking the same question 3 times.
I've been, yep. And I apologize, I'm not trying to be hard here, but we're fact finders, and we can't suggest while we're finding fact at the same time. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I've been on the board for a long time, not as long as some of these guys, but I have never seen any expansion on a 20, in a 25. And me being here for a while, I think the 25 is sacred. You've got a violation with the hot tub, because we looked at it. Amy, you said, what, 2007, it wasn't there?
Is when I could see it appear.
Okay, so that's a violation in itself. You expanding the lawn back to wetlands doesn't matter, because that's a violation in itself. You made a lawn out of the wetlands. So,
Well, that, if I might
I mean,
interrupt.
you make I'm not trying to be punitive, but I'm just saying, the in-kind replacement for the deck, I could agree with it
So-
reluctantly, but for any expansion,
Well, the lawn was done in 1965 or thereabouts. There wasn't any wetland laws back then, so no one, it wasn't until 1972.
well, now you come before us with new applications, so that sets everything
Yeah.
different. So that, in other words, you're saying in the screen porch, the house was built in 65, so we should be able to put a porch on it because the house was built in 65. The regulations are changing all the time, and I'm 25 to me is sacred.
Yeah.
So I'm, even if you improve the wetlands plants, I couldn't vote good conscience, because I try to stay consistent as I can. So that's all I have to say.
So, you know, they are going before the ZBA because they need relief for side setback later this month.
But I'm pretty much telling them that I couldn't vote in good conscience.
Could I ask?
If I, I haven't had
Go ahead.
Yeah.
commissioners go first, then we kind of gone out of order. So my thoughts are similar to what you've heard from everybody else, so kind of we're on the same page here, that it would have to be in incredibly exceptional circumstances to be able to further develop anything within the 25, and based upon what we're seeing here, we just simply don't see that. And I think that's kind of where we're all at. And you have a violation concerning the hot tub, which is a separate issue that I guess we can discuss.
Could I address the hot tub part for a second, Gail?
Well, I'm all done, he's the chair, so go ahead.
The other thing that, there's a house that applied for certain things, and we required them to build a wall separating the 25.
Yes,
We're not-
yes, certainly, when applications come in front of us and in the order conditions, we do oftentimes want to put up barriers at certain points to make sure that we protect the wetlands, whether they be, walls or fences or posts or whatever. So it's true, when things come in front of us, we do look at them under the current regulations, but I don't think that's what we're necessarily talking about here specifically concerning the porch. And the fact that maybe we can get a wall or something like that, personally, wouldn't change my position on a waiver of the 25 in this circumstance.
I was being extremely diplomatic, and if I could have another turn, I'd appreciate it. I don't see any level of mitigation, wall restoration, giving up lawn. I don't see any level of restoration that would allow us to go further into the 25. If it were nudging the 50-foot no-build, I'd still be reluctant, but we might consider it as a balance to getting something back. But I can tell you, never have we seen anything bigger going closer into the 25, no disturb. I forget how many years, I think damn near 29 years on this commission, we've never done it, ever. And, so again, as a matter of polling, if you asked what Mr. Manzi would do, he gave you his answer, and my answer is, I don't see any level of mitigation that I'd agree to this.
Thank you. Are you an abutter or an applicant?
That's a homeowner.
John Brunette, just very briefly, I just thank you for allowing me to make a few comments. You're saying, so we've been there 30 years. We bought the house 30 years ago. It was a dirt road, right? There were no homes out there besides ours, maybe 2 other homes on Berry Street. Anybody who's been in town that went down Berry Street probably turned around and thought they were on the moon or something, right? People turn around in my driveway all the time. But in that 30 years, and I understand you're saying, in all my years, I mean, this sounds, if you look at this from a logic and just rationale, we're asking for 2 feet for half of the porch, and we're doing mitigating circumstances, spending a lot of money with some smart people, with the helix footings that aren't, all the stuff that was said earlier. So it's hard as a Joe average to kind of understand as you're saying, boy, this is just egregious. Now, the hot tub, if that's a barrier, we can remove that, right? I mean, we'll just remove it. But it's what I'm looking at when I look at Berry Street, and I just drove down it tonight, there's 12, 13 new homes, brand new homes on the same wetlands, right? And I was there for all the builds. You can see one of them to the left. They were all filled. All fill was brought in for all of those. You look down the end of my street where it used to be the Riding Academy. It's now what, a 100-unit apartment building in the wetlands. Behind me is Compass Point, probably 50, 70 apartment units on 114. You've got the equestrian shop is now an auto body. It's a garage and a pizza shop. You've got a strip mall in there, all on Berry Street.
None of them requested any waivers.
Which is hard to believe because it's the same wetlands that this
Most
home
of
is
us
on.
This commission sat on those hearings, and my mind was going to not getting to the rough here, is I'm pretty sure I recognize the house in that photograph to the left as one that we held to very, very strict standards. And in fact, even at compliance, found them to be non-compliant, and they had to go back and make modifications before we granted their certificate of compliance. They were held to exactly the standard we're.
Yeah, I'm not, pardon me,
There was one waiver in the entire neighborhood that was granted,
disabled
and that was a disabled veteran who was wheelchair confined, and he needed to have certain,
that's
things
the next door
built in.
neighbor on this side.
And,
That's the people on this side.
Yeah, that was Mr. Stack.
Yeah, oh, we remember him well, right.
We provided great courtesy to Mr. Stack. He's a disabled veteran, and we felt that that was appropriate. Beyond that.
I think in retrospect, I think we learned that he just flipped the house out.
And perhaps if we could do it all over again, we may do it differently. However,
Yeah, I'm not meaning to insinuate anything was underhanded by that. I'm talking as a non-professional wetlands person who's lived on the street for 30 years, just seen an enormous amount of building going on. When you look at the house, we're looking for 2 feet, 2.5 feet of porch, so it just doesn't add up. But thank you for allowing me to make a few comments.
sure. Okay, thank you.
All right,
Just clarify one thing for me. When did Andover pass their wetland ordinance? No, Andover, I'm sorry.
Are you talking about the town bylaw?
84?
Yes.
Town bylaw was passed in 1984.
Okay, and secondly, if someone wanted to put a barbecue grill in their backyard, which is within 25 feet of wetland, is that allowable?
You want to construct a masonry
No, if they want to
fire
put,
pit, or do you want to just a freewheeling barbecue grill? that
yeah,
you-
yeah, say a freewheeling barbecue.
I mean, wait, time out. We're not going
Yeah,
to sit here with hypotheticals, all right?
That's-
At least I'm not.
No.
So, if you want to put an application in for a barbecue within 25 feet of a wetland, then we'll look at it on its independent basis. We're not going to speak in generalizations about a barbecue. Well, if not a barbecue, how about, a fire pit? I mean, it's,
The only hypothetical I would offer, and it's a way of all branch and efficiency, is if this application were to be modified to come in and request to tear down the existing porch and rebuild it in its footprint, in its same place, and not get any closer, it's an approvable project in my mind.
we all have our opinions on that. I generally agree with the theory, at least.
Yeah, no, in kind.
An in-kind
I
replacement.
specified in.
I'm just trying to give some guidance here,
I have
that
no objection
for
to
the,
in
for the
kind,
matter of
yes.
the extra 2 feet that we're spinning wheels on, that could be a poison, a poison project,
This,
for the sake of getting it approved, just take the 2 feet off and it's an approvable project, in my opinion.
as pointed out, this is
There may be
a,
a reason for that.
Berry Street's a tough sell, okay? Because none of those houses would have been built, and probably most of them should not have been built. However, here we are. So we're not gonna make it any worse. We're not gonna let a bad situation get any worse. So I think you ought to go back to the drawing board and listen to what I'm not saying.
I have a question. If we proposed the deck extension outside, so if we just kept the same footprint as is, and then where it extends past the 25-foot, had an extension there, do you think that would be an issue?
Then you're in the no-build zone. I mean,
Oh, am I looking at it backwards?
no, the no-build zone kind of comes up.
Oh, I see,
I mean, the
okay.
entire house is in the no,
Can't
no,
get,
Okay, all right.
I know.
the whole residence is.
Actually, just to move this along, I would request that they confer with Amy. I mean, the structural plan showing the helical footings, there is a way easily to make the footprint no bigger than the existing footprint by pulling the structure at ground level, pulling it in and cantilevering the deck out. You could cantilever it over and not be getting any closer. It's the footing, it's the foundation that we hold. So I think by reframing this thing and redesigning the footings, you could probably get that 2 feet back.
So with the shed roof construction, we have all the weight on that front load bearing. We would be able to pull the footings back in 1 foot, maybe 1'6", from wherever the edge of the porch is.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you don't need to confer, consult with Amy, do that on your own, but as long as that footing, as proposed, gets no closer,
Oh, so you're
Then-
saying have,
then what's
as the,
there
if the
now?
footings are at 7 feet, maybe the porch could be 8 feet, but the footings,
overhanging, and keeping the footings back.
okay. So that may be,
We've done that before.
Because we have a very lengthy meeting today, I'm going to suggest that we move on, and I'm going to offer to continue this for you, unless you object to a continuance. If you do, we can just close it and deny it. Totally up to you.
yeah, so with the process with continuing, can I come back with an alternate plan that,
Yes, you can.
okay.
So I'm going to move that we continue to the next meeting.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amendment 24216, the road request is tabled. The next one is an amendment, that's continued.
Which one?
2421692, 1210 Oscar Street.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. That's gonna have to be, you and Amy should talk about that.
But that's continued right now.
It's continued right now, but
Need a sidewalk.
We just have to find a date for a special meeting. That's what we need to do. So I threw out some dates.
Right, so we're going to do that outside of the meeting, right?
Yeah, yes.
We're not going to discuss?
No, no,
it?
no.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
IDA 415
Oxford.
Oxford Street.
For 415 Boxford? No. Okay, so I guess we don't have any representatives. All right, so this is an RDA that we've continued for a couple of months in favor of closing another outstanding order on the property. We've done that. So it's an above-ground pool, and originally it was 36-foot diameter, and now it's shrunk to a 28-foot diameter with only minor grading, and the sand below will be at 92.5 at elevation. The pool is just outside of the 50-foot no-build zone and well clear of the well and pressure water line. It's assumed that the ladder will be equipped with a ladder access, and the pool equipment isn't shown, but there is plenty of room to keep it out of the 50-foot no-build zone. If the commission's satisfied with this revised plan, they could close and issue a -3 with conditions that I had listed. It's up to you.
Jack?
No waivers requested for this?
Nope.
Okay, no more questions.
Yeah.
No questions.
John?
Nothing.
Motion?
What are you looking for?
Closing and issuing a -3 with conditions.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 920 Johnson Street.
That's one of the tabled items.
I'm sorry. 105 Hillside Road.
Alrighty, so this project involves installation of a generator within an existing paver patio at the back of the house. The new generator will need to receive a poured concrete pad for stability, but it would just entail removing some of the blocks and making a pad there. The generator will be at least 26 feet from the bordering vegetated wetland at its closest point based on very conservative measurements in the field. And we looked at all other locations to bring the generator either to get it out of the 50, but it either brings the generator closer to the wetland in an area of vegetation that would need to be cleared upslope of the vegetation, of the wetland, and too close to the road for comfort. So I had the applicant submit a waiver request for you guys. Let's see, the house is built in '66, and we have no previous files on record.
The gas-fired generator, natural gas? Yep, okay. Is there any disturbance of the patio for the natural gas piping?
I'm not sure. Can you repeat that, please?
Is this a natural gas-fired generator?
It is.
It is, okay.
And the gas is all above ground.
And where does it come from inside the house?
It comes in the front corner of the house, same side.
Okay. Electrical, any subsurface, any underground electrical?
No, be
lines?
coming through the basement wall,
Above ground?
above ground.
No more questions?
No questions and no objections.
Did you say there's a waiver to this?
Yeah, I did include it, I'm pretty sure.
And what's the date, what's the need for it again?
The need for a generator?
No, the waiver.
Oh, oh, well, it's in the 50, so I just wanted to be safe. I mean,
Okay.
it's out of the 25,
Yep.
but in existing patio, it's really the best location, honestly.
I do have a follow-up question.
We've asked the waiver question. I know the gas-fired generators have to be a certain distance away from meters and certain distance away from windows. Have you already flushed all those questions out with the fire department and the electrical inspector and whatnot?
Well, apparently the electrical inspector was over recently because I had an upgrade from 100 amp panel to a 200 amp panel, and he flagged that we have a basement window there, which is supposed to be a 5-foot compliance rule, something to that effect, to which my response was, well, we will seal up the window if that's what it takes to get that
So
generated.
I asked the question in the context that we're about to act on a request for determination, so you can't move anything. If during construction, someone says it's too close, it needs to move, you almost have to come back to us. So you gotta be real careful that the position you're showing us in this waiver we're about to consider is sacred. It can't change in any way and get any closer.
You're meeting the 5-foot setback, right? You're meeting the 5-foot separation from the house to the generator?
Yes.
You're complying with the 5 feet?
Yes.
Okay,
And
so
that's what's shown on here.
At the time we submitted the application, we were unaware of that, but we wanted to move forward with it, and we are fully prepared to comply with that 5-foot.
And you're doing that by leaving the generator as shown on the sketch
I don't think so.
and closing the
That's how
window
they-
in, that's what I
They
heard.
gotta close the window.
All
And
they have
leave
to-
the generator here.
yeah, they're going to meet the 5 feet by going back away from the house. They're not going toward the wetland.
Right.
They're going back away from the
They should-
house.
Right.
They're going to go, so they're not going to change their setback to the wetland.
It won't,
He's saying
See the direction they're going? They're going to go this way. The wetland's over here. They're an existing patio.
so they'll move this way, I'm sorry.
And not get any
They'll
closer.
move, right, they will not move this way.
So they are moving the
They'll move,
generator.
if anything, they'll move farther away from the wetland or parallel to it.
Again, with an RDA, we can state 3 conditions. That location prior to installation is gonna be
I got you.
get confirmed.
You guys, where is your plan to put the generator now that you learned this from,
Well,
In that
it's
location.
tough to see on that photo, but there's a spot there, it looks like a blue spot.
yeah?
That's exactly where we wanted to put the generator, and the electrical inspector said, you've got a basement window there, it's gotta be 5 feet away from the window. So I'm gonna seal up the window, and then the basement window will be a concrete wall. Problem solved, gone.
So leaving the generator right there, no window.
2 feet away, as long as, without the window, I think the code says it has to be 2 feet away from the building, or whatever it says will be compliant.
I think it's one.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I don't need a basement window, I don't
think
care
it-
about the basement
I think it's
window.
10, but we're not gonna go
No,
there.
it's not 10 feet. No, it's not 10 feet.
So they're not moving the generator, it sounds like.
I think regardless, it's an RDA, we're allowed, we typically rule of thumb up to 3 conditions. It's just that the generator location be staked prior to, it's a pre-construction condition.
And so when we chose that location together, the 3 of us, we were not aware of the window. So eliminating the window will keep it exactly where we looked at. That's what we'll, yeah, there's room for that.
No,
And
it's
it won't,
not
will-
5 feet
No,
away.
it's gonna be.
No, but I mean,
It's gonna be 2
but it-
feet because they're sealing the window.
but it's going to stay 20, it will stay 26 feet or more from the
I
wetland.
get it, I get it.
The generator stays where it is proposed.
Yep. That's the way I see it.
And if not, they come back in front of us for modification.
I'm an RDA. I'm a negative, there's no such thing. I think we're fine, that,
I think we are.
that where the wetland line is parallel to the house, any place you'd move the generator would only get it no closer. It would just get it further off the house and no closer to the wetland.
Right.
We can condition that.
But we're acting on what's proposed, and what's proposed is to construct a generator as proposed, in the location proposed.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, so.
All right, we need a motion.
I think you,
-3 with conditions, as I listed.
So moved.
second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, and that's unanimous. Thank you, you're all set.
All set, boys.
So I'll be issuing the permit probably early next week, and there'll be pre-construction requirements and post-construction. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, thanks.
you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one is 242-1824, 177 Great Pond Road. Request to continue till September 22nd.
Yep.
Move.
Second?
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is a modification, 242-1760, 4 High Street.
Where are they? Gotta find it here. All right. So the commission will recall, this project is for an apartment complex, and there was a 18-inch pipe and a 24-inch pipe connected, and they daylighted at the southwest side of the property into a long sinuous swale. And what had happened is that survey did not pick up the municipal street drainage that connected to these pipes from Prescott, Ferber, and High Streets. Once the 24-inch pipe was removed during construction, it was discovered that street drainage was coming into the site. After reviewing options with the town engineer, project engineer proposed a new 36-inch HDPE site, pipe to run through the site, completely separate from the existing drainage and exiting out through the retaining wall into a properly sized riprap terminal apron. This has been reviewed by the town engineer, and he found this to be acceptable, found the riprap apron to be properly sized, and asked for an easement on the plan. So we have Phil Henry here with Civil Design. If you have any questions for him. Let's see, and I'm trying to find the plan. This is not it.
So it was an existing drain pipe, which picked up existing street drainage and conveyed it to the back, so the volume of water getting there analytically hasn't changed. That's right. So the pre and post hasn't changed one bit. By upsizing the pipe, you're not sending any more water down, you're simply slowing the velocity down, but you may be getting the cubic feet per second up a little bit.
Yes,
So
yeah.
that changes, that analysis might change a little bit, but minimal. You're keeping two separate parallel pipes, a municipal pipe, if you will, on your property with an easement, and your site drainage will still be, that's really
It's unchanged.
unchanged. It's still
It's
gonna
unrelated.
collect your basins and
That's right.
manage it the way it was intended.
That's
And
right.
convey it to the same place it was going.
Precisely.
I'm all set, I understand.
Yeah, and this was reviewed by our town engineer.
John, yes.
John, yeah. I'm good.
Al?
No questions.
I just have one.
Sure.
How did you miss something like that?
Well,
This time?
I was just gonna say,
The Wild West?
well, the
in the ancient part of town.
actually, the surveyor didn't pick it up. We inherited the project after the fact. The only reason why it was noticed was during construction, they were uncovering obviously unearthing the ground. And unfortunately, that 18-inch pipe from High Street connected to a manhole that was below grade. It was buried. So it was an unfortunate circumstance, but, we're here to rectify that.
Yeah, the reason why I asked, because I remember, it wasn't that long ago that the 24-inch pipe was put down.
That's
So, I
right.
mean, somebody must have saw that pipe then.
Yeah, somebody, yes. So our theory, our theory is what Joe was saying, that because this is pass-through flow, it's not affecting the site. The things that John and I focused on, our goals were capacity and isolation. So we didn't want it mixing with the Avalon project, and we wanted to make sure that we wanted to maximize the flow-through capacity so there's no backup on High Street. Avalon made the business decision of putting the largest pipe possible in there without significantly altering, the project as you see it. So 36-inch was the largest one they could fit in there, which I thought was suitable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sean,
No questions.
motion?
So,
I move that we grant the
modification. and just,
Is it an amendment or modification?
it's a
on the-
modification.
It's
Modification.
listed as a mod on the agenda.
It's a mod.
Yeah, but, I'm reading the memo, you're right, it is a modification.
It's
Is it a mod?
Yeah, we're just citing the new record plan.
Okay.
So we just want the updated plan with the easement,
Yeah.
that's all,
Yes.
when you get it on.
Yeah, we'll submit an updated plan with the easement on it as well.
So I'll move it contingent to receipt of.
Okay.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next one is that,
Stevens Street.
255 Stevens?
is that one of his?
No, that's not one of the,
242-1819, 255 Stevens Street. Oh, I know this one.
So the commission will recall recently permitting an in-ground pool with a surrounding apron, patio, and pool shed. So since issue, applicant decided to rotate the pool and patio 90 degrees. So it moves it further away from the 50-foot no-build, and over half of it now is outside of the buffer zone. So this black outline was the old, the red is the new. The 50 is right along here, and the 100 is right along there. So they have plenty of room, it's all within lawn. They meet the setbacks to the house for zoning. And the shed, I would just make sure that the shed stays out of the 50, but they have plenty of room. They'll want it closer to the pool. And we could eliminate condition number 42 that required the corner of the patio apron that is within 51 feet of the wetland to be surveyed and staked prior to work, because I think we have enough breathing room right now. So I just recommend approving the modification.
All suggestions we made at the hearing.
I agree.
No questions.
No questions, sir.
I just have one, the shed, is that SH, that the shed?
Shed, yes, SH.
Okay, that's where the pool stuff is gonna be?
Well, that will have to move, but it was, I mean, I can ask for a revised plan before at the pre-construction meeting.
I like to know where the pump and all that stuff is gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah.
stored.
Yep.
So that, we can condition that, if we think, can we?
Yep, yeah.
All right, then
Well, is this a,
It's a modification.
this is a mod?
yeah, it's a
Yep.
mod.
Can we add a condition to a mod?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or does it have to be an amendment? I'm not clear on it.
I think it speaks to substance. What kind of condition do you have in mind?
Just
Okay,
an
yeah.
I
updated,
think
an updated
everything
plan
that's,
showing
everything
the
that's
shed
in the
location.
request is what was debated during the hearing. They
Gotcha.
were actually,
Gotcha.
just simply changed their mind and maybe saw the light.
So we need an updated record drawing
For the shed, to
For the
show the
shed.
shed,
for the shed.
to show the shed really is gonna go, 'cause
Yeah. 'cause
which is gonna
this
be out of
was-
the
This was
50.
just proposed.
Understood.
No questions?
Motion?
I'll let someone else offer this one.
Move that we approve the modification for 242-1819, with the condition of staking the corner of the patio outside the 50-foot, 50-foot no build.
Eliminating that one?
No, with that condition.
It's no longer needed.
I don't think we need it anymore.
No.
We're still going to strike it, but if we can keep the numbering intact, what's the condition you want to add out?
The shed.
Oh,
So strike 42 as written and put in else, keep the numbering in order.
okay.
I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
All right, we have a motion and a,
Second with the condition.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Thank you for the help.
We're getting there. Next one is general new old business, giving garden orchard pad. I'm sorry, we should have known that. We were supposed to put him on top. We
Well,
persecuted this poor
Well,
guy.
no, it's all right. He can watch and learn a little bit.
There was no extra charge for the entertainment tonight? We throw that in.
Sorry about
He's
that.
an
We-
Eagle Scout candidate, he's supposed to go through the ring.
We usually do the Eagle Scouts first, and I
Right.
totally forgot about it.
No, good experience for the Eagle Scout.
Now he
So
knows what he
I'm going to
doesn't
give you
want
the
to be.
floor, and you can introduce yourself and your project, and tell me when to change the slides.
Yeah. So, hi, my name is Nacc, and I'm 15. I'm from Troop 76. I'm a Life Scout in Andover. And I'm doing my Eagle project. So what is my project? My project will be at the Giving Garden, which is a nonprofit garden in North Andover, where all the fresh produce goes directly to food shelters. My project will consist of two parts. One will be laying a new 3-foot wide mulch path around and through their orchard, which is in front of the main garden. And the second part being creating a shelter and covering for 3 beds of blueberries, which are adjacent to the orchard, using electrical conduits and netting. Blueberry plant coverings. The first part of the project is to construct 18 6-foot tall arches out of metal conduits and cover it with netting to protect the blueberry bushes. Each arch will be constructed out of 1 10-foot long and 2 5-foot long metal conduits, which are 3/4 inch. The 10-foot long one will be bent into an arch using a hoop bender, and the 5-foot long ones will be used to provide the height on either side. They'll be secured using 2 connectors, and each end of the arch will be hammered 2 feet into the ground, and it'll be stable. Yeah, and that's an example of what it will look like. The mulch path, the second part of my project will be laying a new mulch path around the orchard, which is adjacent to the blueberry beds. Firstly, we're going to clear out the area of weeds using lawnmowers, a string trimmer, and shears. And then we'll lay 1,000 square foot of cardboard out where the path will be laid. And then about 11 acres of mulch will be shipped in by truck and dropped off in front of the orchard. And we'll use shovels and wheelbarrows and stuff to lay out the approximately 360 foot, 3 foot wide path. And that's a diagram of what like the measurements are. And this is a wide picture of the area, and in front of those are the blueberry plants, and behind those are there's cages where each of the trees in the orchard are. And it's going to go around this entire and through the entire area. These are the blueberry plants, and we're going to normally they don't grow because they're outside of that fenced-in area near the Giving Garden, and that's why I'm doing this for my project, so that they'll have a chance to grow, and then we'll get fresh berries each year. This is the far end, like that's parallel to the road. We're gonna do a path around there. I think it's 68 feet. This is the 45-foot stretch where the blueberries, like on the opposite side from the blueberries. And this is where the central path is, which is next to the blueberries and through the orchard. That's it. Yeah. Any questions?
Fine young man who's really thought about his project, and I wish him luck carrying it out. It seems like a real good one.
Yeah, where's it located?
At Rolling Ridge.
At Rolling Ridge, okay.
Yeah, which is the Giving Garden uses that area.
That Giving Garden, okay. Wasn't sure. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Great job. I love the way you're doing it, and I'm going to be very interested to see if you can actually keep the deer away from it. But
Yeah.
I think it's a great project.
I kind of like your analogy. You're going to get 20 people to help you?
Yeah, approximately.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to be in charge of 20 people?
Yeah.
Good luck.
No sweat.
And I like the supplies. The first thing, most important,
Yep.
is pizza and soda.
Yes, definitely.
Looks like,
Obviously, you know adult volunteers.
yeah, no kidding.
It sounds like Lou wants to help you.
No,
You're
that's
invited to come.
Looks like a good project. Well written. Good luck.
Yeah, nice job presenting, great PowerPoint presentation, great paperwork. Your biggest issue is gonna be how many yards of pizza to get for your 20 volunteers.
Yeah.
So typically,
Amy, we license the farmers themselves under a
Yes.
renewable license. Is that
Yes.
annually?
yes,
Annually.
Yes.
So we don't need to modify that. This is just an extension to their
Right,
license, as we
right.
see, right?
right. I mean, typically the commission issues a friendly EO to allow the project to go
The
forward.
overseer, Larry, who runs Rolling Ridge, also
Yes.
approved it.
Yeah, Dr. Lawrence J, yep, yep.
So what kind of document do we want to give him?
So friendly enforcement order to allow?
So I'll move that.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Great.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks
Thanks,
so
buddy.
much for coming in.
Yeah.
So I'll issue the permit probably early next week?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
great. Thank you.
Tell everybody how much fun you had here at our meeting.
Yeah, right.
That's Wolf Ridge.
How far away from the wetlands is he?
Oh,
65 feet?
65 feet. Yeah. It was in there. Sorry about that. Yeah.
It's in the water.
You were right there. You were right there, kid.
Right next to this dock. COC for 242-1773.
So that's one of the, that's one
That's
of the
one of,
tabled.
yeah,
That's
tabled.
tabled, that's one
For
of the four
Greg to
tabled
come.
items.
Okay. 242-1446, 575 Winter Street.
Righty. Okay, so, this order was issued in February of 2009, and it governed the construction of a deck and addition within the footprint, and the addition was in the footprint of a pre-existing deck. Mitigation was about 3,200 square feet of restoration of wetland and buffer zone. The commission required a post and rail fence to be along the no disturb zone or at the edge of the restoration areas and permanently marked with 7 wetland markers. Our field inspector with the consultant performed a evaluation in July of the wetland restoration area and found it to be very well vegetated, over 75% growth. Let's see, and confirms that the post and rail fence is installed. And I just wanted to point out that the as-built plan shows, well, the end. So there had been modifications throughout from when the original plan was proposed. So the commission approved wood steps and landings on this side of the house. And this flagstone walkway is actually really, what do you call them? Square pavers. Yeah, or bluestone. Bluestone set in lawn. So it's really not, it's a little misleading on that. It's not really that, like that. It's really stepping stones with grass all around. So very little deviation, site stable, recommend issuing a certificate of compliance with ongoing conditions.
Jack?
I'm good, thank you.
Questions?
Motion.
Move that we grant the certificate of compliance for 242, 1446, 575 Winter Street.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. You're all set. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Good job.
Thank you very much. Thanks for
You
coming.
did a great job. You did a great job.
All right, you too.
Okay, 242-1739, partial COC, Ray Street subdivision request to continue.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 242-1755, Ray Street lots 4 through 7, request to continue.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one, small project, NACC 283, 276 Raleigh Tavern.
I need to recuse myself.
Okay. So this is a deck replacement, 12 by 16 deck with stairs at the west side. The stairs will be at the west side of the deck. It will consist of 4 by 6 posts set on 10-inch concrete sonotubes. Holes for the sonotubes will be hand dug to 48 inches below grade. Field inspector confirms that the deck is located approximately 80 feet from the BVW from its closest point. And then I have here it is.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's right. I just wanted to pull up the other plan. So it would be a category B.
Plan that's at my side.
Light.
Visible.
No, I know. That's why I got a darker one. So here's the deck. No questions? Okay.
No questions, but the existing shed, is that,
I checked that. That was properly permitted through building permit, signed off by the then agent, Pam Merrill. So I think she confirmed it at more than 50 feet.
it's more than 50 feet?
Yeah.
Okay, great. No questions.
Yep.
Motion?
I move that we approve the application under subsection B.
Second. Aye.
Opposed?
And you have any conditions? or-
Yep. Pre-construction, all excavated soils be removed from site, and then a post-construction.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. And one abstention. Jamie.
Jamie got it.
Jamie got it. Okay, next one is 40 Flagship Drive.
No, it's 19 Commonwealth.
Right.
Is that- I'm
Commonwealth.
sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. NACC 285 47 Mill Pond.
All righty. Okay. So this is
Oh,
for
Commonwealth,
a,
some-
this is for a new deck. Too many things on the agenda. All right, so this is for a new deck at the rear of the house. It's going to be 170 square feet with stairs. The deck will be supported by 5 12-inch wide, 4-inch deep footings attached to the corner of the house by lag bolts. The proposed work is within the 200-foot riverfront area to the Merrimack River and approximately 126 feet at its closest point to any resource area measured by our field inspector. So they're coming under as a Category A, and I recommend pre-construction meeting, all excavated soils to be removed off-site, and then a post-construction inspection.
Is that Merrimack River or Shawshing River?
Shawshing.
Shawshing River, Commonwealth, south of
Is it?
Mass Ave?
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
Shawshing-
sorry.
Shawshing River.
Shawshing.
495.
Okay.
495
I'm not lost.
Violet Street,
I'm all
Shawshing.
set. That's the
Sorry
only
about
question-
that.
the only
Shawshing.
question, yeah.
I have no question.
Jack,
Well, I thought I knew it was until you said Merrimack. I go,
Joe.
what the heck?
Al.
I have no questions. I just note that they're 126 feet from the BVW, so I'm all set there.
Al.
I think they can get a little further away, Al, don't you?
You think they can get further? You know, if you ask him to get more than 126 feet away, he's gonna be in the middle, he's gonna be in the middle of the street.
Small project,
This is why it was
exists, you know, so this is a no-brainer, absolutely no questions.
All right, motion?
I move it under an A with the recommendations of pre-construction meeting. All excavated soils from post-hole shall be taken off-site and post-construction meeting.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you, all
All
set.
right, so I'll issue the permit, and then we'll arrange for pre-construction. Okay, thank you.
Next one is, small project 285, 47 Mill Pond.
Why could I not find it?
To maybe expedite this a little quicker, this is the condo, townhouse across the street. It's separated from the rest of Mill Pond. It's like 4 units on Stevie's Pond. I think they came before us before to redo it. It's the first house right on Stevens Street, and unfortunately, the gentleman that was doing it passed. So it's the same project, so it's just where it is.
He passed away?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
So they're coming under as Category L.
okay.
Repairing lumber retaining walls and the fence, and refurbishing the patio within the same footprint. And you guys had issued a small project back in 2018 for this. So.
Yeah, well, the patios, and they have the barriers separating.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yep.
Yep.
Any questions, Joe?
The old project was other parts of the same building. It was just this piece wasn't done, or was this the only part of that?
I think
project?
this is the only part that I can
And it's identical in every
ascertain.
other regard.
Yeah.
I'm all
It's the
set.
same
Right.
thing.
I'm all set.
Yeah, this is,
Yeah,
Jack?
if it's identical, I'm good.
it is identical.
Yeah.
Yep.
Motion?
So, let's see, what is it, L?
Yeah, I move that so when this was, we approved this as a small project last time?
Yep,
Can we reference that in our order here? With the same
Yeah.
conditions?
yeah, sure.
As referenced in the prior filing. So I move that we approve this under an L with the same conditions that existed from the prior filing for the same exact working project.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is NACC 286, 659 4th Street.
Hi, I'm just gonna pull up stuff. Alrighty. So this comes as a category B, replacement in kind of existing decks. So we have 2 decks at the rear of the property, outside of the 50. This deck will receive new boards. And then the smaller deck is the one that's in worse shape, so that has to get demolished and rebuilt. And then there's a front porch deck, mostly outside of the 100-foot buffer, but that will get new deck boards as well.
Just simply related.
Yeah. Let's see. So we provided, means and methods. So this is going to be by hand. Stockpile area is in the front, and the dumpster will be in the driveway. So I recommend category B with pre-construction condition requiring 8-inch melt sock, removal of excavated soils off-site, and post-construction to verify compliance.
The deck to be rebuilt, is that the one out front?
All three of them.
No, I mean, one is just new boards.
New boards, new boards. This smaller one in the rear is to be rebuilt.
Yeah,
That's the rebuild one,
but they will be in the same position, same size.
Yeah, same
Sure,
size.
Sure,
Yep.
okay, no more questions.
I'm good.
I'm good also, but it's just a question. Does the deck, small project deck thing, is 300 square feet?
No,
No,
in-kind
in-kind
replacement is
replacement
Okay.
lawfully
Okay.
existing.
But if it's a deck being built for the first time.
Thank you. Just in the future, just out of curiosity, if this came to us, would it be collectively 300 or 300 for?
I guess we'll cross that path when we come to front of us. Somebody wants to put in 15 decks that are a foot each.
There is nothing.
There's nothing in there, right?
There is nothing that says it's the collectively or in the aggregate. It's per unit.
I was just curious, my own.
I remember when we did this, you and I were on the subcommittee, and there was no collective analysis.
Okay.
We would have to set precedent, Chief Justice.
That's right, that's right.
And I
We're
see,
the highest-
and I
highest
see
score
no
in town.
reason, I see no reason to set any precedent here.
Not for this one.
I was just curious, I
No
shouldn't even
reason
say.
at all.
All right, motion.
I move that we approve this as a B with conditions cited by Amy.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
All set.
Great.
You're all set, thank you.
I'll write the permit up and then we'll do a pre-construction. Okay, thank you so much. Okay.
Next one is Forest North.
First notice.
Forest North. I'll do it. Same thing.
All right, we still don't have,
Oh, here it is. Oh, it's stuck in the middle. Okay, 920 Johnson Street.
all right, that's Greg Hockmith, and he's not
Oh,
here
sorry.
yet.
920 Johnson is correct, okay, so we'll put that out. Add that to the list of things that may get tabled.
Okay. We got 40 Flagship Drive.
Evening, guys.
Hi. Good morning. Evening. So that's clean water coming out of pumping operation.
Did you drink some?
No. going to show you. All right. Can I stop this? I hope I can get out of this. Okay. So, just as a quick update, the chair and the vice chair issued an amended enforcement order in advance of IDA, requiring frac tanks. However, the contractor wasn't able to ascertain any in advance of IDA. There was apparently no inventory. However, the site held up really well during IDA, and there really wasn't any problems, so we got a gift there. They were able to start filtering and pumping this past Friday. So I was on site and Maureen Harold was on site. We were tag teaming as Jack Sullivan was away, so we filled in. Pumping resumed today, and our field inspector and Jack were on site tag teaming the same way. So that video was taken by our field inspector. They change the filter bags every 1.5 to 2 hours, is that right?
Yeah, something like that. That's the pressure equalizer.
So all the berms around the top have been bolstered, and a swale has been established along the westerly side edge of the property to direct water away from the neighbor at number 70. Blocks for the retaining wall were delivered on Friday, correct? Access driveway has wrap, and it held up well. Norse is waiting to gain permission to access the downstream site where wetland impacts occurred before they start flagging and surveying someone else's property. So I think at this time, the priority is dewatering that sediment basin and cleaning it out. So I don't really have any other, any more input to give you.
I was there on Saturday, I saw something far improved from the last time I had been out there, so step in the right direction for sure. I'm all set.
Jack?
No questions.
So, I'm happy with the progress also. So, how do you estimate the time going forward to the point where that lower basin is dewatered and then can be reconstructed so that it functions?
It's hard to say, because I mean, at the top it's wider, so there's more volume, but as you go down, less volume, but more of the sediment, so it could be more filter changes more frequently. I mean, I would say 5 to 10 days at the most, something like that.
If the weather cooperates with you, that would
Well,
be
it's not, I mean, tomorrow's not, and
No, I
then
get it.
there'll be 2 hurricanes next week, and,
But at least if you're able to dewater,
yeah.
clean water out.
I'm selling spring water on the side right now, so.
Listen, you can, whatever you can sell, this is America, whatever you want to
Right.
sell, you sell, but as long as you're not selling coffee-colored water.
No,
All right, I'm just happy to see it continue. I don't offer, I'm not going to offer any changes of any kind, either for or against, just maintain the status quo.
Okay,
That's my opinion.
okay.
Yeah, how far along is how far down is it now?
I went by early this morning, and it was down 1.5 to 2 feet, I would say.
So we got a ways to go.
Yeah, it's about 10 feet overall, so, but it's gonna, less volume as it slopes down, but
Yeah.
it's also gonna be heavier with the sediment.
Okay, we got staff watching it, so as soon as,
We're also
gets emptied and
documenting it every
cleaned.
half hour with a photo or an hour, I
Yeah.
think, just to
Yeah.
back everything up too, so everybody
Okay.
can see.
Thank
The
you.
filters won't allow it to go through. Once the filters stop working, it stops the system, so it's not like it can continue beyond a point where I should change the filters.
Yeah,
Okay,
shuts down
thank you.
basically.
Sean?
How many hours a day are the pumps running?
Only when we're there, so 8 hours.
No questions.
Just a couple of, so the basin up top of the hill,
Yep,
is that still holding water?
yes.
How are we resolving that?
Once basin one's done, we'll go up there with the same system and run
So
it
when you
down.
get room down below, you pump down to it?
Most likely, I'll move the operation up top and then pump from that to the discharge. I'll move the filters up there, so that way I can actually get work done in the
Yeah.
lower basin.
And that's fine, but you are going to reconstruct the bottom basin?
Yes.
Okay.
That's permanent. I mean, it's temporary now, but it
Yep.
becomes permanent to the design.
Okay. No, I'm happy with the way it's going. I just, leave it, keep doing it,
Yeah.
exactly. Thank you, yep.
So we're gonna,
I'm just curious, given the storm that's coming, granted that the water being pumped down has provided a lot more storage than was there a week and a half ago. Are you confident that you've got the resources on site to be able to handle the water that's gonna come at it? We're looking at upwards of near 2 inches, probably close to 1.5 inches, but.
Yeah, so up above, we've reinforced that berm, built that up. We also did that on the lower berm as well, just in advance of Ida, when the frac tanks, we couldn't get them there within 24 hours because of, holiday and everything going on with, all the moisture everybody's had. So we actually raised the elevation on the berms on both of those, so, yeah, I think we're okay.
Sorry, I neglected to ask a question. Item number 2 on the enforcement order, expedite the loaming and hydroseeding of all exposed slopes. How's that going?
It was done the next day.
It's done? All exposed slopes
It
are?
was done the day after I received the order.
And it's holding?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit slid with the last heavy storm, but
Yeah.
It's matted, it's been seeded, so we'll let it establish and then we'll go in and repair patches if needed.
Keep patching it? Yeah.
There are stockpiles up above.
Of
but
loam?
Of loam.
We
And,
did see those, but it's just, the
Yeah,
wind washed it.
yeah, and there's an active pile of just other,
Yeah.
but you're actively working that, so, but.
Have you blanketed the slopes at all?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's all going
Yeah.
exactly as we hope?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah.
No, I just have to ask.
No, I know.
It's,
No, I know. So regarding the enforcement order that you and Lou had
the
issued.
third amended?
Yeah, so, you did want to institute fines, I think, based on getting frac tanks there. So I don't know if you want to reconsider that.
So, I have no problem with staying the execution of fines. I still would like to see a frac tank on site. We're not, the weather's not going to get any better going forward. November's a terribly wet month. It's the wettest month of the year traditionally.
Right, the issue was that we couldn't discharge. Now that we've actually, the flock is finally
Yeah.
caught up to everything and started to work, we're gonna have the pond empty.
When the ground freezes and when the slopes freeze, and when you have sheet flow, and there's no, although you already.
You'll be tied into the town system at that point. Everything will be stabilized, grown in.
Yeah.
You'll be active.
Well, I guess I'll ask.
I wasn't involved in the third amended enforcement order, but
So
I think its performance standard is that remove turbidity upon discharge, and without getting into means and methods, not sound like Dick Pauling, but the reality is, they've got a means and method that's an alternate to the frac tank, which is achieving the same end result.
we felt.
Maybe even better.
And I don't disagree, but we just felt that don't eliminate any method that might help. And we thought a minimum, we called for 3, because at the time when we were assessing this, it was just flowing away.
Well, agreed, but if the fine is
I'm not-
attached to the frac tank, I think the fine should be attached to not removing turbidity, and I think they've done that. Again, I wasn't involved in what your mindset was when you
Right,
put it in,
right.
but I think what you really want to do is lower the pond down and have the discharge be clean.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And you thought the frac tank was a way to do it, and it was, but alternatively, this is also doing the same thing. I think they've met the requirement.
So just continue to
Can you
operate.
And keep the place, that they're in compliance and we're not issuing the fine yet.
We're not, stay the execution fines.
Yep.
Okay.
the only question I have is time constraint. Like, he's saying another 10 days?
It's hard to
With
say.
no
I mean,
rain.
it's-
I'd say if it didn't rain anymore, it would take you 10 days.
I mean, that's a guess. I mean, it could be 5, it could be 10. I mean, it's just
And then
as
we get
fast
the
as
other
it'll go
end.
through the
I
filter.
mean, at some point, we gotta draw a line in the sand. It's gotta get done.
Well, here's the thing, just a suggestion, but how many hours a day are you pumping?
8 or 9.
So perhaps you pump more, because you're not going to get ahead of it if you just pump 8 hours, especially with water continuing to be offered to you.
Is there a reason why, I know you said because you're doing it as the workers are there, but is there a reason other than that why you can't pump it for more time?
I mean, we're also limited too by the time Jack can be out there.
Anything else?
I mean,
The
I
thing-
can
can I
talk to him and
just-
see if he can be out there for 12 hours, but I mean,
Can I like to say something about having a third-party monitor stand there and watch water go into a catch basin.
Well, you know,
I'm not, I mean, I think it's a
think-
little overkill, but
Well-
that's just my
To be
personal.
there the whole time, yeah, I would agree with that. Again, performance is what we're looking for. If they're spending money on an engineer watching water flow down a gutter as he's working on another project on his computer, I'd rather spend the money on putting another parallel pumping and treating system in place to get more water out at the same clean
Right.
quality.
Right.
Or pay them, let him pay his guys overtime to work, increase the capacity that way.
well, here's the other answer. The applicant's here. If he wants the project to go forward, he's got to get past where he's at now. If you can only pump 8 hours a day, and this is the best you can do, and it's your most sincere effort, you're as far as you're going to get. If you want to get beyond it, you're going to have to put more hours in. That's up to you. It's not going to, you're not going to get anything.
I have no issue with running the pumps 24 hours a day. I mean,
Yeah.
aside from, I'm sure the.
That's what I'm
residents
hearing. I'm
out
hearing
there-
it's having the monitor present to.
Because we want to make sure that the water that's coming out and going down is clean.
So, there were times when Maureen and I, we had things to do, so we left the site, but I asked Bill, can you take a picture every half hour and just text it to me of what's coming out? And then we'll get back there when we get done with what we needed to do. So we were hopping and bopping, and he was taking pictures every half hour, and we were there for, Maureen was there from 9:30 to 1:30.
I understand,
You know.
it's a chore, but you know what, it's a necessary chore.
I get it. Okay.
It's just the way it is. Unless everybody in the commission disagrees with you and wants to amend it, which I have no objection to, you won't hurt my feelings, but, experience is the best teacher, to me.
I don't think we should change anything. I think, like you said, Al, it's his burden. If he wants to get the project to move forward, he's got to get the work done. So if he wants to do it 2 hours a day and take 3 years, I mean.
No, but I would not be in favor of that.
No, I'm just saying, I think, time to him.
No, 8 hours is
Time
reasonable.
is money to
More
him.
would be better.
Time is money to him, so.
The motivator shouldn't be him wanting to move the project forward, which I'm sure he wants that to happen anyway. We don't need to dwell on that. The reality is, we want to minimize potential for downstream impacts further than what they are. The faster you can draw that pond down, the better off we are at protecting the wetland. I really don't care about its development moving forward, time-wise.
Yeah, I get it.
If it means relaxing a high-priced engineer looking at water flowing down the gutter, be perfectly happy with Amy's approach to taking photographs with spot checks now and then.
Yeah, spot checks.
To
Between
increase the
step.
capacity,
Just remember
longer
why
in the
this-
day, or maybe double the pumps. I'd rather put the money into the effort than someone watching it.
Just remember why this became necessary.
I know.
And go forth accordingly, that's all. That's just the world I live in.
I know.
So I'm perfectly happy to cooperate with my fellow commissioners in any way. I have no objection to differing opinions. So whatever you think is going to work better, I'm totally in favor of it.
Whatever motivates, not the project moving forward, whatever motivates drawing that pond down to a condition where it can be stabilized and finished. That's our motivation. That's our goal.
For now, I would propose that we keep what we have in place. And, you've heard all this discussion. If you can show us that by not having somebody watching over it, all that time is gonna result in 4 more hours of training, then let us know, and the chair and the vice chair will examine that.
We'll always consider amending our order, but
I think you probably can get Jack to go the extra 4 hours. If not, maybe the 4 hours you do the pictures. So at least you're working 12 hours a day.
My guys they're taking pictures every half hour still, even if Jack's there, just to document it.
Good.
So at least we could try that. See, but 4 hours a day will make a difference. Not, 24 would be a real good thing, but we can't do that. We can't have one that's 24 unless you feel like.
why don't we
could do that.
revisit this in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay, hopefully it'll be done in 2 weeks.
Well, let's see how we do.
All right,
Let's
so
see how we do.
I ratify the order that's currently in place. I move to ratify the order.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
But staying the execution of fines.
Say it again?
But staying the
Yes.
staying the fines.
We're staying the
Pausing
execution,
the
yeah,
fine.
no fine, there are
No
no
fine.
fines being applied.
All right.
There are no fines. But the,
Well, I mean, just to be more specific, we're not I don't think we're touching the fine thing.
we're not eliminating the
We're not-
provision from the order, we're saying we're not gonna impose, we're not imposing any.
met. You know, they didn't do frac tanks, they met condition one by doing the pump and treat, an effective pump and treat.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's-
I think that how I would prefer to define it is, we can allow them to not comply with condition one at this time without penalty, but don't remove it from the order, should we decide to require it. Up to you guys again,
No,
but.
I agree with that.
I would leave it as is. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, the only thing is got the date of September 1 in there, that's all. No, it's not less than by 5 PM on Wednesday, September 1.
That would be the fact.
Right, so I mean, it's not a perpetual condition, it was something that needed to be done by then, so if you wanted to,
Yeah.
it's water under the bridges.
There's no
let's say.
inventory.
Right, so status quo, continue
Status
march,
Yeah.
Yep.
no fines.
Okay.
Just
Fine.
continue
All right.
to work, no fines.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you. So,
All right, next one.
you guys voted to continue? I don't
Oh, I'm sorry,
remember
motion to
getting a
continue.
motion in a second.
Continue what?
Continue on to enforcement.
Yeah, it's an
That was an
enforcement order.
enforcement order, that was an enforcement order that got ratified.
Yeah. Okay, next one is 16 Ferry Street.
16 Ferry.
Alrighty, so the commission recall recently, I don't know what I just did. What? Recently issuing a determination of applicability for above-ground pool. The homeowner and the subcontractor for the pool company started work without holding a pre-construction meeting. Some work and disturbance occurred in areas where we didn't expect. And so we shut down the work, required erosion controls to be installed. I met with Jay, who was with Gibraltar Pools the other day on site. It's not horrible, but there's just an area where the Kubota had moved the sod and scraped it, and we just, where we did not anticipate disturbance. So we need to scarify and seed that area with a native seed mix, which they already have in hand, and then, blanket it with some straw to protect it. All that's left is handwork for the pool. They need to do utility connections, get some stone around the base, and reestablish the rest of the lawn around it. But they can do all that work through the gate at the front of the house. So we can get that area of disturbance seeded and be left alone, and we can just have foot traffic through the gate now. So that's where we're at. Let me just see. I'm trying to catch up on where I'm at. Why can't I find my own? Okay, here we go. So, I guess my recommendation is require scarifying disturbed areas, spread native seed mix, and cover with straw, and have a deadline of 9/22 for that to be done. And then remaining work shall be accomplished through the existing fence gate at the front of the house. So you have any questions for me or Jay? He's here this evening.
So I'm having trouble understanding when you use the pronouns you were aware, or you are aware. Who called the office? Was it the owner or the contractor?
The owner called the office.
And they specifically request to waive the pre-construction,
Yeah,
which
they
they were
were
instructed to
anxious.
not?
Right.
Okay. And you said subsequently, our field inspector learned. Was it the same day? Was it an hour later?
No, I
Was
on
it a week
vacation,
later?
No, it wasn't. It was a day later.
Yeah, it was
So that would be either, you were the one who went out and saw it though, right?
Yes.
Could you tell, had they been working prior to making the phone call and said, oops, we should make a phone call? Or did they completely disregard the guidance that we gave and said, don't start?
They had said it was that same day. The pool was installed, and it looked like, you know, it had been, I would say, a full day's worth of work, from what I could tell.
Oh, so that was likely that someone read it and said, oh, shoot, we were supposed to call for a pre-construction condition, but they'd already started, and they just didn't, they missed it.
Yes.
It's not like they ignored your recommendation that, no, it can't be waived, and started anyway.
Yeah, I guess she was backpedaling.
Okay.
A little bit.
All right. So, believe it or not, an oops is better than deliberately ignoring it.
Right.
So I'm okay with that. And they've stopped all other work, and
Yeah,
it's
I
just
mean-
stabilizing it. I'm all set. I'm all set.
Yep.
No question.
So this was an IDA?
Yes.
I don't have it in front of me. What was the distance to the resource area?
It was like 100 and,
It's over 100 feet?
oh yeah, well over 100.
It's over 100 feet.
130 feet. Yeah,
Well, I'm all
130,
set, thank you.
135.
That was the information
Yeah.
I needed. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
This is the one by the Merrimack River.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just,
Take it down to the existing property and no one
It was already gone, but there was, you know, the old pool
The old
circle
right,
that was
yeah.
there, yeah.
I just couldn't remember that.
Yeah.
Are you the contractor or the applicant? Applicant. You're the applicant.
For the applicant, well, we're the pool company, but we actually used a subcontractor in this job, and that's where the oops came in.
So you're Gibraltar Pools?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't think it was ignored. I think it was ignored.
It wasn't ignored. What had happened, this has been, I'm not here to offer excuses as to why I came. I came to make sure we can get this in compliance, but basically, this is a train wreck of a season. The demand is through the roof. We've had the wettest season in record, and it's just a very difficult season to work. As an unusual situation for us to comply with our contractual agreements, we've hired some subcontractors. And that led to basically a communication error. I went out there myself to stake it out. My concern with the job when my involvement was to make sure we were in compliance with the property setbacks. And when I went out there and staked it out, the subcontractor misunderstood and thought that was okay to go. When I got the call that work had been done, I made the call to stop the job. And then I went out there and I met with Taylor and then followed that up with Amy.
Whichever way it was, you saw the IDA, you should have described to your contractor that no work is to be done till you have a pre-construction meeting.
I understand
And it's
that.
your fault, the subcontractor's working under your supervision, and it was done recklessly. I'm just saying, you get out of jail free card, okay? The next time, if, you better not have a Gibraltar Pools come here with a violation, because I won't be so forgiving, because I was involved in all this situation. He went down, pre-construction was ignored as an order conditions, and you know, he told me till the sky turns blue, and then to push the dirt over the slope toward the river.
There was no dirt pushed over the slope. There was dirt placed in a
Yeah, but it wasn't over the slope, but it was in the riverfront.
Yeah, it wasn't a,
Okay, so,
I'm not saying there were no mistakes done, but they
No.
weren't deliberate. This wasn't a situation of ignoring it. We've worked with this commission before in quite a number of pools in North Andover.
well, the thing of it is, if everybody comes through here after we give them an order for conditions, and they, oh, well, we didn't see that, or we didn't do this, I'm just saying, this one, okay, we're gonna get our jail free card, but I better not see, I got a memory like an elephant, so better not be a second time. Thank you. Sean?
I don't have any other questions or comments.
All right, so what
Would
do
you
you,
like a
so I
motion?
guess, just adopting my recommendations requiring, you know, seeding the disturbed areas and strawing it, and then ensuring that all the rest of the work is done through the gate at the front.
You want us to ratify the enforcement order, right?
Yeah, with those,
With these new conditions?
Yeah.
So I so move to This is a new enforcement order, a modification of the existing one with the conditions just uttered by Amy.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and thank you.
All right. Okay, thanks, Jane. All right, we'll talk to you later. Yep.
Next one is 60 Campbell Road.
Alrighty, so the commission will recall approving a small project permit for a required sewer connection, which was properly executed and in compliance with the permit under the direction of the former owner. The new owner started unpermitted work that involved removal of trees at the front of the property, grading and for anticipated landscaping, and then grading towards the rear of the house that resulted in impacts to the 25. So we immediately directed him to stop work, made recommendations for controlling any kind of erosions off-site because it was the day before Ida was coming. So the homeowner immediately responded, got, mulch stocks on site, silt fence. He had chipped a bunch of trees, so we used the chips as check dams, covered major slopes at the back with tarps. So he was able to scramble and get it ready for Ida, and it actually held up very, very well. So the site is stable at the moment. We ordered him to engage a wetland consultant to delineate the wetlands so we can figure out what's in the 25 that needs to be restored, and then figure out from there what are his plans for the property and what could be properly permitted under a notice of intent. I spoke with Thor Akerley this afternoon with Williams and Sparagus. He's been engaged, and he was out there today. The homeowners are here this evening, and so I think at this point what we need is a survey plan to show the wetlands, the limit of disturbance, and then a restoration plan for the 25-foot no disturb zone, and then we can figure out what's permittable and then move forward with the notice of intent for whatever else plans there are. So that's what I got.
You're saying, you're thinking the 2 weeks is too aggressive? You said,
For a survey.
You said the wetland scientist has already been out there.
Well, he's been out there, probably flagged most of the wetlands, but to get a survey and a plan and then a restoration plan together in 2 weeks, I mean, we can try. We can set this 22nd and see how they progress, but I just don't want to set them up for failure because it may not happen.
I think we should hold firm to the 22nd. At least we can see how far they've gone, and we can move accordingly. If we wait till October 1st and they're not ready, then we're gonna wait some more. And the cold weather's coming.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. My name's Tate Sahagian. I'm the homeowner. And I do want to deeply apologize. I was not aware that any of this work needed permits. I'm now aware of the town bylaws and understand the significance of this. So as soon as Taylor stepped on site and made recommendations, I took those very seriously. I did everything they've asked within hours of before Ida. And I'm obviously here to present the plan that was originally done for the property and that I wasn't doing any of this in ill intent. There was no intent to destroy nature, disturb the wetlands. It was rather just make a better situation of the unfortunate lot that was left from the previous owner. And so my only concern is waiting 2 weeks. There's a lot of unstable soil on site. Can I at least present the plan and proceed to seed some of it so that we can get some roots on some of the loose soil that's in the non-wetlands area within the 25 at least? I did email Amy a plan that was done by the landscape architects in accordance. I just sent it to you when the meeting started. So
All right, let me see what
I wasn't sure how the format went
Oh,
of
that's all right.
what I could present. So
Let me try to get it and I'll pull it up.
Well, the thing of it is that I want to tell you to go out and seed and loom and then come to find out that it's wetlands and, because that's not acceptable. I could see hay bales and silt fence, until we figure out what you got.
Okay.
It's gonna save you money, because you'll be spending all kinds of money that you might have to take out.
Okay, but it was based on existing conditions, and so I understand it's within the 100-foot buffer now, but the area in question was previously lawn. It was when the septic work was done, the material that was used to replace it was full of glass, bricks, rocks, like it wasn't suitable to plant in, and so loam was brought in to cap some of that and create a more stabilized zone that could, with nutritional soil that could sustain grass. And so I understand some of the work was within the 25-foot buffer zone, and again, my apologies, but my plan here was never to leave it like that. It's to restore the slope in the back. And so I don't know what's possible to present tonight. It sounds like the commission wants to do a full plan, but
We don't know what a wetlands.
We don't know.
We don't know what a
That-
wetlands are.
that's what I'm
There has to be
saying.
delineation. We have no idea how to direct you.
That's why
Well,
I'm
there was
saying,
somebody
I'm not
there
telling you
today
not to do stuff, but.
per the orders to delineate the wetlands.
Right, so what that individual's gonna do is he's gonna present a plan with distances, et cetera, to let us know where the wetlands are and where the 25 is, and then once everybody knows that, then we can go ahead and decide what can be.
You can say, you can do this, you can do that, you can't do that, you gotta fix the other part, the trees you can't replace, so that's.
So these are pictures of what it looked like before. It
So
was
there's
just
one thing that's not clear,
quick
we say
shots.
before, that's before
Before
the owner
work.
has done the work, but
Exactly.
subsequent to the former owner abandoning the septic system, correct?
Right, so this
So
is,
prior to
this
this,
is
this
at the
was
end of the
lawn.
driveway, viewing the back.
That's what it looked like before.
Yeah,
Now it's all clear cutting.
So,
well,
I vaguely
not the
remember this
rear-
coming in
not the
as a
rear, but the
small
front
project
is.
where they did the septic.
Right.
It wasn't septic replacement, it was abandoned
It was
septic and
abandoned
connecting the sewer,
septic and
right?
connecting to sewer.
Connecting the sewer, that's what I remember.
Most of that shrubbery and everything was removed during the septic process. So that was all previous to us, and the backyard was left in a unlivable, non-grass.
Well, on this side.
So what is,
condition,
I can
so-
see a couple of flaws here with our small project, probably the first time ever. One is, we grant some leniency for a project that makes some sense in a small consolidated
Right.
sense. But there's never an ability to record that, therefore there's no notice for perpetuity to the future owner, so that's
Or even
flaw number one.
RDAs for that
Flaw
matter.
number two, there's no requirement for an as-built or a certificate of
True.
compliance.
Right.
So they did their work, but they didn't, according to the homeowner, didn't stabilize the lot to his satisfaction, leading him to believe, time for me to come in and do my
Well,
landscaping.
And even per the commission's recommendations of 12-inch mulch stock the day of IDA, the contractor previously used 6 or something
Yeah,
that
8. We
wasn't
only
as
required 8
suitable,
for
and,
that.
Yeah.
But,
So, I
And-
guess my point is, that aside
No, I
is,
get it.
I can see how this might have happened, only because there's no real notice other than knowing your obligation under the law.
right.
But what I see is a really ambitious, very nice landscape architecture plan of what it is you'd like it to look like in a layout sense. But there's no way we could if this were to come in under a formal permit application, there's no way we'd even accept this as anywhere near complete, let alone let the work happen.
okay.
So it really does have to be engineered, has to be surveyed, has to be flagged first and foremost, and then incorporate this design into that document.
Okay.
And in the meantime, Amy's recommendation, without penalty, fine, by the way, which I think is pretty nice, is to stabilize it, put the silt sock in
Yeah, I mean-
and stabilize it and do nothing until that other stuff is done.
Because we just,
Which has been done, the silt sock and the mulch.
But no further activity out there whatsoever.
Okay. Okay.
yeah, it's just, you don't want to start doing something and then have to redo it based on the survey plan saying, we're not going to let you do that.
I understand that, and
You know
based
what I
on,
mean?
no, and I appreciate that. The survey plan is expensive, and I understand the ramifications
No, I
of the
know.
work that was done. My biggest concern is that the previous owner was dumping over the back banking for 30 years. There's tires, terracotta pots, window panes, things that definitely shouldn't have been dumped
It's all
within the
gonna
20.
come up during the hearing.
It's just, yeah.
You
Okay,
inherited, you inherited the
Oh,
portion.
yeah, we're not gonna penalize you for that,
No,
if
and
that's
so-
what you
No, but we
mean.
may make them
We
clean it
might.
up.
Well, yeah,
But maybe
I mean,
clean it up. I would
yes,
say
but I mean,
compliance
we're
is a
not gonna
penalty.
say you did it.
Well,
This is not, you know,
No, I mean, we're not gonna say you did it.
you do
We're
that
gonna say
diligence when you're
gonna have
buying the
to fix
house.
a former
You know,
sin.
that's called
Right.
due diligence. and-
no, sir, and I understand that. It was more of, that's within inside the 25-foot do not disturb zone. And now that there was some additional material in that area, that's where it's concerned. And so I just want to make sure.
I understand your concern. That's why you gotta get wetland scientists out there to delineate and identify everything that needs to be identified. Where the 25 is, what's in the 25, what's in the wetland. It all has to be described and identified, has to be. And nothing can happen until you do that. You'd be foolish if you did any more work.
Understood. I appreciate your time.
So I move that we modify the current enforcement order with the proposed requirements of a survey, existing condition plan, and a 25-foot do not disturb restoration plan by September 22nd. And that filing an NOI by the 22nd as well, or?
I don't know about that.
All right. How far out for you guys want to
Well,
see
let-
an NOI
well,
on this
let's-
project?
Well, if we're asking them for an NOI, you gotta give them 4 weeks.
Yeah.
You gotta. It's just not possible.
So, and then an NOI in front of us within 4 weeks? What's the motion?
Whatever the next,
Discussion. If
Septic work was allowed under a small project. Someone somewhere must have had an idea of where that line is. Is this guaranteed to be an NOI, or is this likely to be an RDA, or do we not know?
this is gonna require more than 3 conditions.
So I would
Yeah,
say an
it's gonna
application.
require more than 3
All right.
conditions. I think so.
This is gonna
Because
require-
there's a slope
He's
and, you know,
describing debris in the wetland.
and you know, and the slope is more,
So
it's
it's
a
an
little
NOI.
more severe now.
I was gonna try to be
so-
more generic, but
Yeah.
it's an NOI.
He's already in the 25. We
Yeah.
can do our
We're gonna
deal
want,
with
we're
that.
gonna wanna condition
Yeah.
some things.
All right, so we got motion, and I think there was a second.
Second.
I second that on discussion.
So there's more than 1 second, Mr. Chairman.
All right, you do have more than one.
More than one
All right,
second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Okay, so
If
Kate,
you have
just
any
so you-
questions, see Amy, and she can
Okay.
explain to you what's going on.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, we'll talk tomorrow, and I'll explain.
And thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you for coming in, and
Appreciate
thanks
your
for all
candor.
your cooperation.
We'll work with you.
Thanks.
See you in 2 weeks.
Okay, take care. You
Two.
too.
So we gotta come up with
The enforcement order was just amended to require compliance by this, in 4 weeks, right?
Well, it was to do certain things by the
22nd,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, okay.
Yeah.
Survey plan and
Gotcha.
restoration plan, and then an NOI in 4
the,
weeks.
that's what I thought.
No, I mean, he was very honest, but I'm concerned. He described very clearly
all that stuff.
auto parts and debris that is in the wetland down the slope.
Right.
Someone, prior to his ownership, was
Right.
doing some severe dumping,
Right,
and we've only experienced that type of thing once before, and that was what caused us to issue the perpetual condition on some properties.
right.
We had a place where, years ago, we found engine blocks that had been deposited into the wetland, so.
Right.
Okay, next one is 268 Wally Tavern Lane.
I'm going to request to continue
did
to
that,
the
right?
22nd.
No,
Okay,
Yeah,
wait, that's
Request-
done,
that's a
right?
request
Yeah, we
to
took care of
no,
that one.
Jack,
Busy street today.
yeah.
So,
Um,
so moved on the continue.
must be a tough
So,
neighborhood.
are you here for one of the items that's been tabled?
So I'm not sure, I was outside out of respect for the size of the room, I was told
Yeah.
we removed to last.
Yeah, what, which
290
project are you with?
292 Candlestick, and I had text with Greg, he's still in a meeting with Hamilton,
Hey, wait.
Zoom meeting. So Greg's still in another meeting for another town. So we
Well, does he,
tabled everything for him in anticipation he'd come later.
Yeah.
we
So-
should, what we should do, because we're
Okay.
ready, we're gonna wrap this thing up, we're not gonna keep going all
There's a
night.
lot going on 292.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in all of them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move, respectfully move, that the 4 items that were tabled be continued to the next meeting.
All those those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, not unanimous.
Yeah.
Sorry you gotta sit through all this.
So, probably think it's best that Greg's here to represent you for your project. I really expected him,
Not here. All right, let's go
Um,
move on.
We really want to get out of here. We really want to get going.
Let's move on. 242-1814 decision, 3 Great Pond
I don't
Road.
think so.
Did we get a second on Raleigh Tavern? Who seconded it to continue?
Yeah,
I moved
so-
it, and Joe seconded in discussion.
I'm sorry, Joe.
And then
Joe
you third
Joe
it,
Lynch.
right?
I came in, I was
Yeah,
third
okay.
man in.
Okay.
Typical hockey fight, third man in.
Third man.
5-minute major, ice sticker.
Get thrown out of the league.
Mayday, come on now.
Everybody thought it was a
Stay
rock-
with me here, Mayday.
Everybody thought it was a rock rub, they never realized he was a solo artist who just loved hockey.
Right out.
What's that, brother?
Back in the old days, I was always the third man in.
Third man in. We'll tell you later about it. We were on the same, well, no, we were on opposing hockey lines at Brooks every Thursday night from 10 PM to midnight, followed by a trip over to the, what was that place in Methuen we went to?
McGrath's. McGrath's.
Yeah, what was the name of it, though? It had a name. Anyway,
I'll think of it.
yeah, Methuen, Jack,
McGrath's, they had chicken bobs.
yeah, the chicken bobs, where Barcelos's place is in Methuen.
Oh, Tally Ho.
Tally ho, there it is,
you
right
go.
there.
Paul
Thank you,
Margraf
Joe.
owned it.
Give that man a
Oh,
prize.
Margraf.
So it was called the Tally Ho. So we'd be in the locker room at the end
Never
of the
been
hockey, and Louis would go, Tally Ho, and we, off we went.
Well, welcome.
All right, we're still alive. We got to get going. Let's get the decision out for 3 Great Pond Road. Okay.
I'll do Amy's job.
Go ahead.
So this one's pretty straightforward.
Good job.
What's the? I'm concerned about the bond on this one. What's the bond on this one?
Well, you know, I wasn't sure what I was gonna set the bond at. I figured I'd put in this number and I'd leave it up to you guys.
What number do you have there, sir?
I'm sorry. What?
John did a good job, don't worry.
Where are we at?
We're on the decision for 3 Great Pond Road.
That's a good number.
2421814.
Number 45.
10,000.
I see it.
This is stormwater, a parking lot, driveway.
Yeah, there's a lot of work,
So
there's a lot of
convert-
moving
yeah.
parts on this.
Yeah, so new parking area, retaining wall, infiltration stormwater management system with a storm scepter, catch basin, landscaping, removal of existing pavement on the easterly side of the building and loaming and seeding. So,
Yep.
yes,
But there's a lot of site.
Congested site.
Removing of hot top,
Steep slope in the back.
wall drainage, underground storm chambers.
We all okay with paragraph 45?
I think it sounds reasonable, 10,000.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay,
Did you say reasonable or unreasonable?
They both think it's reasonable, so,
Oh, so do I.
you do too? Then I'll remain silent.
Well, thanks for asking about my input, Al. I feel very
What do you got to
important
say?
now. I agree with Lou. Feel like Deb.
I
was just gonna say, it's not like that,
I
was
agree
it?
with Deb. Okay.
Anything else on this one, Aim?
Any questions, Sean?
Well, she's got something in green.
I'm moving to.
oh yeah, wait a minute, do I have something in green?
Isn't doubtful if you watering will be necessary?
Do I think so?
Yeah, I really think it's doubtful.
Okay.
I mean, we can leave it in,
I'd leave it in,
all right,
because,
you never know, but I think,
that's,
I'm gonna move it as drafted.
yeah,
Second.
it's crazy not to handle.
so this is 3 Great Pond.
Motion is second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Unanimous.
Next one is two.
As drafted?
As drafted.
Without the green.
Next
No,
one,
no amendments.
next one
Okay.
is 242.
1818. stabilization. This is called the Don't Drive Into the Lake project.
300 feet.
We already had vehicles in the lake, we don't even need more.
More than one,
I know.
at both ends.
How does $25,000 equal 34% of 733?
It's a different kind of math, Jim. Maybe
No, come on.
3.1%, but not.
Yeah, there's a couple decimal points.
Is that wrong math?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Good
way
thing you're not an
off.
accountant.
That's way off.
You make it sound like it's way
It's a-
way over a quarter
This is why you play with blue spotted salamanders.
Okay.
It's 3%, 3.3.
3.4.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's just a zero.
So would you want,
Meaning, it's a small number compared to the project size. I think it's
Okay.
reasonable.
So maybe more?
yeah, probably more, sorry about that. I think I was trying to get to 25%, but I,
They're doing
So
flotation
the
boom
estimated
in the lake
project cost
itself.
is $733,000.
I
Seems
have
low
no
for this project.
They're doing flotation boom in the lake, right?
yeah.
That seems low for this.
Do we have any
With
special,
turbidity
do we have any
curtain.
special, it's a pretty clear.
Yeah.
Do we have any special pre-construction inspection requirements on that?
Stabilization on your
I mean,
drinking
silt
water.
fence and hay bales are one thing, but you just wanna make sure the boom's in?
I can't
Oh,
believe
yeah.
this is
What do you
gonna-
guys want to do for a bond on this? 10%, 20%?
Well, it's the lake, right?
Yeah,
This is
that's
gonna
true.
go out to a subcontractor, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Then 30% bond.
That's $200,000.
$210,000.
No, I don't think that would be that high.
25 is fine. That's really the risk. Think about it, they're putting a siltation curtain, siltation boom, floating boom with a curtain all around the work area in the lake itself. So there's all your turbidity. Everything else is being driven. All your
Down.
sheet piling is driven.
Okay, so,
But isn't the question, what will it cost? to
that's
fix
right,
it,
that's exactly where I'm going. So
We're gonna do a good
let's
job.
say worst case scenario, let's say the worst contractor in the history of the world gets this bid, starts the project, and in the middle of it walks away. We have to now finish the project.
No, because it's a publicly bid project, so.
We need to stabilize.
So they better have a performance
But on
bond.
this-
That's what we're
The
talking.
surety bond.
Yeah.
Part of the construction contract.
Yeah.
That's, and even that's only like, I'm not sure if they accept cash bonds in town for that type of stuff, or do they accept, probably accept surety paper.
Yeah, I guess.
So that's gonna be for full balance of the account of the contract amount, and it's gonna probably be like $5,000 or $6,000 just for the surety bond.
Can't even get a cop detail for
No. If a contractor walks away, the town holds a surety bond, they go after the surety company, and they seize the full value of the bond. $700,000, they grab the whole damn thing. No contractor's gonna walk away from
Before
it.
you go, what's your thought on the bond?
I think 25 is fine.
25,000 is fine.
I think it's fine.
But
Do we have 50?
if the commission wants to go higher, I'm game.
I'll just call it and I'll vote my way and then we'll get moved on. I'm not after with 25.
I move, just to compromise, I'll say 50.
So what's the rationale for 25?
I think that with all of the precautions that we require that they take, the turbidity boom, flotation boom with the turbidity curtain hanging from it along the whole work area, and that the work itself isn't in the water, it's from the roadway, driving sheet piling down, the risk is minimal. And if a sheet pile were to blow out, even the worst thing, you've got the turbidity curtain holding it all right there. It's not going out into the lake, it's all right there. It's not going anywhere, so
So
I
we
think
might have to put another turbidity curtain on down.
a second one. What's that gonna, to rent it, it's gonna be what, $1,000 a month? Yeah, it's nothing. You'd be amazed at how fast these projects go, and the impact is minimal. I think we held them to a really strict, not standard, but strict understanding of the potential for impact during the hearing, particularly with, the groundwater migration, which is where our biggest concern was, but they satisfied all that, they did everything we asked of it.
It's not about the person that was here. It's about the guy that's gonna be out there doing the work. That's what worries me every time. That's the only thing.
Well, you're not gonna hit.
Because
See, here's where we back ourselves in the corner over history. is we don't accept paper, because we all lived through the 80s.
That's
When the
cash.
paper wasn't worth the.
It's cash and we pay.
What it was printed on, right?
That's right.
So we went to cash. The reality is, if there's potential for risk, our performance bond here for protection could be paper in this market. But you could say $25,000 cash bond and,
Well, that's what we
and $100,000 surety bond. Do both.
You want to add a surety bond on top of the cash?
We haven't done a surety bond in 25 years.
We've never done it, we've always.
But
done
I'm
cash.
saying 25,000 cash and an additional surety bond of 75,000 to bring it up to 100. That would be reasonable.
I'm gonna just move 50. Just to get this off the schneid, instead of we start going into adding surety bonds to things that we ordinarily don't do. I'll go with that, whatever number you guys want.
Yes.
I just wanna move on it.
Yeah, same
As a
thing.
taxpayer, what's gonna happen is the contractor is gonna build that into his bid.
Not moving.
Yeah, I just don't think we're gonna get value for that as a taxpayer in town, and we're not getting any extra protection out of it. So, yeah. Yeah. Someone asked a valid question, where does 25, I think it was Jack, where does 25 come from? Then there as well.
Okay, then move it then.
Yeah, just,
So let's go, yeah, let's leave that, because we have other conditions, that's the only thing we're debating.
That's the only thing we've been hung up on.
let's see, I think.
Okay, so $250,000 now?
What? Are you laughing at
I'm
another
laughing at
something?
73, but I don't want to read it out loud.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I know, it's not,
And 70.
it's not
Oh.
possible. 73 is not achievable.
Okay. I know. Delete. I know, the dumping.
So 70 doesn't apply, you can strike that completely, right?
Oh, stood. That was a leftover, sorry.
70, you can strike it in its entirety.
So 74 strike, because it's,
No, 74 stays,
oh, okay.
no dumping. Time to wake up, Lou.
Wake up.
Come on.
So, 49. Demarcation. I was thinking,
from
what
James.
was I thinking? Demarcating it, I don't know, maybe it's stupid to do that too.
Okay, any more questions?
What's the bond?
That's the only thing.
Oh,
It's
okay.
what, it's what you wrote.
25.
Oh. I don't, well, that's bad math, so don't go by that.
If
That's
we're
my
polling,
bad
I'm
math.
sticking, I myself is sticking at 25.
I myself.
And, yeah, so I'm familiar with that. And,
Oh,
but I'll certainly vote with the majority.
it
Just
would be
hire
nice.
them, they're probably not gonna repeal it, because they wanna move the project out. We'll see what happens.
Well,
Let's move this off the vote. Let's go.
would it make you?
Are we striking 49, by the way? The wetland markers?
Oh, Mark, I wanted to know what you guys thought about it. Should we,
So we're on a roadway with no parking, right? There's no parking along the
No.
other side? Take the marker.
I think
Okay.
they know it's wet.
I know, no one's gonna stop
We already have the public water supply signs out
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody that
I
can't see
mean,
the lake,
They can't even walk. There's no
sign, if they can't see the lake, the signs are not gonna matter.
The signs are
I
all
know.
there already, no swimming, no
Okay,
fishing by permit
All right.
only. Okay, by not the end of the residence only.
Let's move this.
Okay,
okay.
So I'll move the reissue the order of conditions for 242-1818.
As amended?
so, need a motion, we have a,
Second?
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous.
I'm opposed.
Yeah, I oppose to, you
two oppositions.
So it passes 3-2.
Yeah.
Really?
We have two up, yeah. just-
On the bond.
It just passed 3-2, we're opposed, but we're not gonna argue all night.
We were wrong.
No.
No, you weren't. But I wasn't right.
Here's what it boils down to. Not giving it another minute.
No, wait a minute. So it's
Okay?
Jack,
Because we,
All right,
Joe.
that's it.
we could fix it.
and
All right, so
Lou.
that's it, Mr. Chairman.
All right, is that, are we done?
Amy, I don't see anything else on the agenda.
Then I move
We-
to adjourn.
We continued those 4 items that were
We
tabled,
did,
and we're done.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Okay, so I just need signature pages.
Aye.